Could you be connected to someone famous in history? Are you trying to trace a family member or think an ancestor is linked to a battle, royalty, maybe even a scandal? I'm Sian Williams, and we're trying to help people find their place in the past and perhaps learn something about our own. Welcome to My Family Secrets Revealed. We've gathered a team of historical and ancestry experts to solve intriguing family mysteries.
There is a possible connection with Polish royalty.
Yes.
After poring over birth records, doing DNA tests and building family trees...
4, 5, 6 generations all the way back.
Wow, that's a long way back.
They'll reunite people with long-lost relatives.
Can we share the castle?
Prove links to famous faces.
We are actually related to him. That's incredible.
And solve family puzzles about long-lost relatives.
We found all 4. Here is a merry picture of the gang.
There'll be scandal along the way.
James might have been a bit of a naughty boy now and again.
There's a chance.
Stories of heroism.
You really saw the underbelly of a world war.
It's a bit of an eye-opener, isn't it, this?
There'll be unexpected reunions. Tears of joy.
Gosh, that's amazing.
And a chance for people to find out who their ancestors really were.
Quite a lot to discover.
That's the biggest shock. And the best one, too.
Coming up today, a dramatic English uprising.
They felt they were fighting for the livelihoods of their families. I've got goosebumps.
A case of mistaken identity.
There were 2 Frederick Heaths. Just 2. Just 2.
And a singing star connection.
I think I want you to break into song. That is lovely.
We're at King's Weston House in Bristol, a historic manor house in Somerset, where people from all over the UK have been gathering, eager to have their questions answered. We've been overwhelmed by the sheer number of people wanting to meet the experts to try to solve secrets in their family's past.
I am trying to trace my family tree, and I'm trying to trace it on my mother's side.
I found out that my grandparents emigrated on marriage to America, and I would just love to find out the name of the ship, where they sailed from. Anything at all would be lovely.
Getting ready to tackle today's family mysteries, our team of experts. Historian and writer Tessa Dunlop goes on an emotional journey through World War I.
Oh, what a brave man.
A very brave man. Sorry. Yeah.
Genetic genealogist Brad Argent explores the world of Sigmund Freud.
So the documents run cold. This is where we need to be, those 21st century detectives.
And historian and law lecturer Onyeka Nubia uncovers a scandalous family story.
Something dramatic happened. Daisy shot him.
Wow.
With so many mysteries to solve, it's time to get started. First up, we're helping June Bridges from Berkshire. She thinks she's related to 20th century top tenor opera star Charles Craig.
What a voice, June.
Fantastic.
An extraordinary man. Charles Craig, probably one of the best British opera singers of the 20th century. Why is he so relevant to you?
I went online because somebody said, is there anyone famous in your family tree? And I typed my maiden name in.
Which is Craig.
Which is Craig.
Right.
I looked and I thought, he's from the same area as where my family were from, Bethnal Green, Shoreditch in London.
East London.
And I thought, oh, I wonder. So I am just here, really, to find out if there is a connection with us.
And if there is, how close it is. I'm looking at him and looking at you with your cherubic good looks. I'm thinking, just on the basis of visuals alone, it's hopeful. He is, just to reiterate, I mean, He was the darling of the Royal Opera House, the English National Opera, opera houses all over the world, really in his zenith between the 50s and the 80s. Apparently, he listened to Enrico Caruso, and that is what inspired him, the great Italian opera singer.
Oh,
and he learnt by copying. An extraordinary man. Anyway, let's see. The quest is, of course, to build up his family tree a bit and then hopefully go back with yours and find that common connection.
Yes, it would be great.
OK, so we found his death record. He died in 1997.
OK.
And from looking at his death record, we found out when he was born. What we have here is the birth certificate of Charles Craig, his middle name James. You can see 1919.
Yes.
Relevant, of course, Shoreditch, as you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Stomping ground of your family. And from this birth certificate, we can find out who his father is. James George Craig, and a mother, Annie Rosina. OK?
Yes.
So by identifying the parents, we can then go back a generation. We're going to go back one further to see what the marriage certificate of James and Anne can deliver for us. So here they are getting married at the end of the 19th century. James Craig marrying Anne Rosina. Again, in the right area, parish of Bethnal Green. We're tracking along a bit here, and we can see here now what they do. Do you see under rank or profession, it says hawker for
Yes.
James. Could you know what a hawker was?
Is a hawker a street seller?
Basically, it's like pound shop in a person.
Right.
All right, roll up, meat pies.
Right.
It would need a good voice, to be fair.
Yes.
Here are street hawkers. Really hard work.
Hawkers, one of the oldest trades in the world, synonymous with peddlers and street sellers. Throughout the 19th century, they were a common sight in towns and villages throughout Britain, as much a part of our life as supermarkets today. Whether stationary or mobile, hawkers advertise their goods with loud street cries or chants, creating banter with customers to attract attention and enhance sales, selling everything from clothing and crafts to food. The hawkers of London were at their peak in the 19th century. They served London's booming population, which grew from around 865,000 people in 1801 to 3 million in 1871. The demand for London street food saw hawkers serving up a veritable feast of pea soup, pickled whelks, pies, and fried fish. In the mid-19th century, it's estimated there were between 30 to 40,000 hawkers relying on street selling for their income. There was pressure on young children and women to go out and work alone on the streets. They could make the difference between the family surviving or being forced to enter the workhouse. Working as a hawker involved long, hard days from 4 in the morning, often till late at night.
Does that resonate for you, your own family background?
Absolutely does, because Shoreditch and Bethnal Green, even when I was young, there wasn't much money.
OK, so that makes, really, Charles Craig's success in the 20th century even more spectacular. So tough, humble beginnings.
Yeah, not a lot of money there.
Very little. So let's establish what we have now. Charles Craig, this man who's becoming ever more phenomenal. James Craig is his father. Well, we went and found James's birth certificate or his baptism record. We can see there that John and Eliza are cited as the parents. Do you see that second from the bottom?
Yeah.
All this, by the way, taking place in Bethnal Green. So let's now return to your tree. We are now going to track back one generation. There's your father, Terence. Tell us a bit about Terence.
My dad, Terence, he was a character. He was always singing, always dancing.
Oh, was he? So there was the performer in Terence?
There was, yeah. Yes, he sang quite a lot. So I did wonder if there was a connection.
We are now going to track back one generation. Your grandfather was called Edward Craig.
Yes.
He married Mary. Mary Maudley, according to the census, lived next door to Edward as a child.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so she really was the girl next door.
Oh,
it's kind of sweet.
fantastic.
And so what we have really is Edward Craig in your tree, your grandfather, is the same generation as James Craig, the father of Charles Craig. Do you see that? They're both born in the 1870s.
Yes.
So we're hoping there might be a link. Could they be cousins or brothers at best? Very common name, remember these.
Yeah.
And a very populated area.
Yes.
But let's see what we can do. Let's go back to that baptism certificate of your grandfather, if we may, Edward, 1872, right down in the bottom corner. And what are his parents called?
John and Eliza.
Now, where have we heard of John and Eliza?
Oh, yes, the same.
They are the grandparents' names of Charles Craig. Again, hold fire. because they're very common names.
Oh, of
so
course
we
not,
need
no.
little more grist to our
Yes,
mill before we can say absolutely definitely. But this is looking good. Let's go up. Second column from the end. Quality, trade or profession of the parent. Hard to read, but a hawker. OK? It's looking, I would say, pretty good.
Yeah.
But we need to leave you today certain.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
That's what I want to know.
Now, did this John and Eliza, who had Edward, did they also have a child called James?
OK.
That's the question that needs answered. Now, this is the census of 1891, OK, in the right area, Bethnal Green, OK? So all along, it's your stomping ground. We have a family called Craig. Do you see?
Yes.
Now, John is married to Eliza. Can you find John and Eliza?
Yes.
So first of all, we have that Edward. We know he was born in 1872.
Yes.
OK, now track on down. Can you find us what we want?
James.
We want James. And what is James?
Son.
He's a son. 2 sons, which means Terence's father and Charles Craig's father were brothers. OK? So do the math. Can you tell me the relation between your father, Terence, and Charles Craig? What relation
they must have been cousins.
First cousins. Which incidentally makes you the great operatic talent of the 20th century's first cousin once removed.
Oh, fantastic.
I think I want you to break into song.
That is lovely. I'm so pleased you found that out for me. Now I can tell everyone.
Well done. All the best.
Thank you.
That was brilliant
Thank
fun. Great fun.
That was pretty amazing. It was nice to learn that I am related to a very famous opera singer. Now I know why my dad was always singing and dancing and happy all the time. It must have run in the family.
So it's now official. June is related to the great opera star, Charles Craig. And there's more emotional news to come as she learns the incredible truth about her brave grandfather.
So he's been twice wounded, but it doesn't stop him. He rejoins from hospital.
My grandfather.
Also coming up, genealogist Brad helps one guest discover if they're barking up the wrong family tree.
I mean, you have shaken that tree as hard as you can, right?
And I picked the wrong one.
You picked the wrong one.
I understand that my grandfather might have been a wealthy landowner who had a fling with one of the land girls.
This is my family tree, which my daughter made for my dad, and it goes back 8 generations.
Our next guest, Stewart Heath, has reached something of a cul-de-sac while researching his great-grandfather. He'd like some help to get further up his family tree.
My name's Stewart Heath, and last year I turned 50, which was quite a big birthday for me. So I kind of got thinking about the family and the history of the family, and it kind of dawned on me that I didn't know anything about who my ancestors were. By the time I was 10, 15, my grandparents, my father had all passed away. When I was looking back through my family history, I discovered something about my great-grandfather that rose my suspicions, that he was given the surname Heath by his mother, and there was no record of who the father was. I'd like to find out as much information as possible. I think it would put some clarity to a lot of questions that I've had all my life and never had the opportunity to ask anyone or find out.
Hello, Stuart.
Hi.
Welcome. And you brought your mum, Vera, with you today?
Yes.
That's right. Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, real pleasure. So what is it that brings you in today?
The research that I've done, I kind of discovered that about 3 generations ago there was a child born that was given the mother's surname, which then made me think, is my surname of Heath really the name I should be using?
Vera, have you been helping him out with this at all?
When he's got stuck, I've found out bits of information that I knew to help him on his way.
Has he found any skeletons in the closet?
Well, I hope not.
I just didn't tell her.
Okay. So what I want to do is start off by looking at your family tree.
OK.
This is you, right? This is Mum. This is your dad.
Yeah.
Right. And we're building back here, Frederick Heath. Who's Frederick? Can you tell me anything about Frederick?
He was my grandfather.
Yeah.
But I didn't know him very well. I think I was about 6 years old when he passed away.
Have you looked at any of the records, actually pulled, you know, solid, hard evidence for any of this?
I found a couple of census records that had Frederick on it with his siblings. I mean, as far as birth records or anything were concerned, I couldn't find anything.
Okay. So this is 1883.
Okay.
Right? He was from London. This is what London looked like in 1883. It's one of the things that always strikes me is when you look at footage like this, it's the activity, right? And the movement and the mass of people. This is the world into which he was born. And this is where it starts to get really interesting. There were 2 Frederick Heaths born in London in 1883.
Just 2?
Just 2.
Oh. And I picked the wrong one.
You picked the wrong one.
No. I can't believe it.
So, we know that there's a different Mr. Heath we need to follow. This is actually the marriage record of your great-grandfather. And from this, we actually find out that your Frederick Heath, his dad's name is Sidney.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we've got a name. You were looking for your great-great-grandfather.
Yes.
And there he is with your great-great-grandmother, Alice Jane Beat.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And so, we step back and back and back and back, right up to your 5 times great-grandfather.
Oh, wow.
Right? George Heath.
Yeah.
So we've taken you right back into the 1700s.
Fantastic.
What do you think your dad would say if he could see just how far back this goes?
I would be amazed.
I think he would, yeah.
I would really be amazed.
He'd also call me an idiot for going the wrong direction as well. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
It's a real pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers. I'm still in shock that there were only two Fredericks born in London in 1883, just 2 of them, and I followed the line of the wrong one and traced the whole family tree thinking that I had all this information and I'd done a good job. It was totally wrong. But I'm just really happy now that I've got the correct information, and we can, go away and delve into it further. Know that the information I'm going to look at now is the real McCoy.
Mystery solved for Stewart, who can finally follow the correct family tree. If, like Stewart, you're researching an ancestor for your family tree, a good starting place is birth, marriage and death records, as well as censuses, which may contain the valuable information you need. Earlier on, we met June Bridges, who was delighted to discover she's related to the late great opera singer, Charles Craig. But she has another family mystery she'd like to solve, and it dates all the way back to World War I.
So, June, we've got one impressive opera singer on your paternal line.
Yes.
But you've also come here with a second question, haven't you, regarding your maternal line?
Yes, I'd like to find out about my grandfather.
Tell me about this fantastic-looking man, David Walsh.
He was in the First World War, and I'd like to find out what his journey was, what he went through.
Do you have any idea of what we're going to unpack today?
No.
He never mentioned it?
No, no one ever spoke about it. My mum never spoke about it. No one ever spoke about it, and I was only 6 when he died.
Let's find out what we can on David Walsh. You want to know about his performance in the army?
Absolutely. I'd like to know his journey, what he went through.
Well, the most important thing is he was a survivor.
Yes,
because, of course, the First World War was deadly.
Yes.
All right? I can tell you that he came out of the First World War with 3 medals.
Really?
That we know of. 3 medals that we know of. One is the Victory Medal. The Victory Medal was given to all men at the end of the First World War, the time the armistice was signed in November 1918. The British Medal was given to all men who were British, who were fighting in the First World War. Okay. So those are 2 fairly standard medals that most men in the British Army would have received. The 3rd medal is the Star Medal, OK? And here we have evidence. Do you know what the Star Medal was for? By 1916, conscription had been introduced. Men had no choice. They had to go to war. But in 1914, the British Army depended on volunteers. Your grandfather volunteered at the get-go of this war. August 1914, David, aged 28, he was one of the first guys out of the trap, ready to go and fight for king and country.
Oh, what a brave man.
A very brave man. Yeah, you can feel that. Okay?
I'm getting a bit emotional, I'm sorry.
It's all right, don't be sorry. You know, this is a guy who went out there. He was one of the first guys in 1914, you know. And by the way, he lasted the course,
Yeah.
as we're going to discover. So let's just have a quick look at his enlistment. What's interesting about this document is he bequeaths a third of his pay to his wife.
Oh, never forgot about his family. What a man, what a man.
And now, the second document I'm going to show you is quite interesting. This is one where he is asked to detail the distinctive marks or marks indicating congenital peculiarities or previous disease. Now, why do you think you might be asked before you go to war?
So that if he died, they would recognise him by his tattoos.
Indeed. He had a fair few of them. So there's a horseshoe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's something that says true love. Rather touchingly, there's another tattoo that says, I love Kate Sullivan.
Oh, my nan.
That was your nan?
Yeah.
So, June, what we've got here is the casualty form of your grandfather's active service. So he's wounded in action.
Oh, crikey.
And then we see that he's suffering from shell shock.
Oh, dear. What must they have gone through?
So he was struggling, but he was a fighter because he goes back out there. And by May 1917, he's injured again, this time in the leg. OK? Severe, it says. Leg severe. Do you see?
I do.
But it doesn't stop him. He rejoins from hospital. OK? So he's been twice wounded, but there's no question of him going back to King's Cross and Pancras. He rejoins from hospital. He's granted a bit of leave in August, September 1917. And then he rejoins the nightmare that is to become the Battle of Passchendaele.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 1/3 of a million Allied soldiers died, taking one village.
So sad.
And almost the equivalent on the enemy side. Young men, the flower of a generation.
Yes.
Bang, gone. By the way, 90,000 unidentified dead bodies. So on this alone, we see Battle of the Somme and Passchendaele. Now, if you look at the bottom there, what happens? Can you see what happens at the bottom?
Prisoner of war.
He's a prisoner of war, OK? He's taken captive by the Germans. All right? September 1917. Now, he was taken prisoner of war during Passchendaele, OK? We know this because the remarkable organisation that is the International Red Cross keeps records. This is from the German army. Yeah, we can see here Ypres, 25th of the 9th, 17, OK? This is when he's taken captive. David Walsh is listed. We actually know that he was bumped in a period of 3 months between 3 prisoner of war camps.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He was having a nightmare.
I just can't imagine it. My grandfather went through all that.
But the amazing thing is, your grandfather, David, he was blessed. He got through the 2 nightmares, the Somme and Passchendaele, and he came out the other side. He did. Without which we wouldn't have you, June.
That's right. That's right. What a brave man. So proud that I know of his journey. Thank you.
Thank you. And we wanted to, don't have the original, but we wanted to give you a replica of the Star Medal, the equivalent of what your grandfather had been given for volunteering. Well done, June. What a story.
Oh.
What a soldier.
Thank you. It means a lot.
And by the way, what a family. Yeah. An opera singer on one side.
Yeah.
And a soldier on the other.
Great men.
Yeah, great men. And a great woman. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I can't believe that he got this medal, because I never knew that he ever had any medals at all. And this is his medal. And it's called the Star. And I'm really proud to be his granddaughter.
What a result. June's gained an opera star ancestor and finally knows all about her war hero grandfather. Coming up, Brad looks into the mystery of a missing man.
It's a bit suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here we have John Freud, 1881, gone.
Next up is Annette Dunster, an antiques dealer from Cornwall. Her family tree has thrown up an intriguing story of a kept woman, some double standards, and a crime of passion. And it's all set against the strict moral codes of Victorian Britain.
I've heard a story about my great-great-aunt Daisy who shot her lover on London Bridge. My name's Annette Dunster. I live in Lostwithiel in Cornwall, and together with my husband Martin, we run an antiques business. I had been interested in my family history for some time, and I decided to go down the path of my maternal grandmother. And I knew that she had a mother called Alice Ball. Apart from that, I knew nothing about the family at all. I found somebody who had a connection with Alice Ball on an internet site, and I contacted them and I said, "Are we connected?" I had an email from a chap who said, "Oh, yes, we are connected. She was my great-great-aunt, but did you know about Alice's sister, Daisy?" And of course I said, well, I've never heard of Daisy before, but I actually have a daughter called Daisy, which was amazing. Then they sent me the newspaper cutting and telling me all about my great-great-aunt Daisy who shot her lover on London Bridge. I don't think she was ever charged with murder. I think she was pardoned. That's all I know. I would like to find out whatever happened to Daisy. Did she find happiness? Did she get married? Did she come to some awful sticky end? What happened?
Welcome, Annette.
Thank you.
It's really nice to meet you.
Nice to be here.
So, we understand that you've got a very interesting ancestor.
Yeah, it was my grandmother's great aunt. Her name was Daisy, and as far as I know, she shot her lover on London Bridge at the turn of the century.
First thing is we've got the baptism certificate for Daisy, and it shows that Daisy was born on the 22nd of December, 1864 in Lambeth, and her name was Mary Ann Elizabeth Ball at the time of her baptism. But she went by the nickname of Daisy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her parents were Mary Ann Nash and Frances Ball. In 1901, her parents were living in Penton Place in Newington. But there's no record of Daisy living with the family by 1901. So the presumption is that she'd left when she was 17.
Right.
Now, it's quite something even now for a young woman at 17 to leave home. It would have meant that she had a certain character, a certain determination.
Yes,
yeah.
I can see that coming through the family line. I have 3 girls, and they are all very strong-willed.
Independent-minded.
Very, very independent-minded, and they will do exactly what they want to do,
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, the London that she was coming to was a vibrant London, full of energy and life, and also a city that was going through a lot of social change. Women were beginning to assert themselves in many different fields. So Daisy started to work in the Fountain and Star pub. So in the 19th century, there was also the Women's Temperance Society. It was a political movement that was radical, like the suffragettes, that believed that women shouldn't be associated with pubs, that pubs were places for men. The women, like Daisy, who stood against them and decided to work in those sorts of places, were rule breakers.
That rings a bell. Yeah.
I mean, nowadays it's not controversial for a woman, but in the 19th century,
yeah,
for a woman to be working as a barmaid in essentially a man's pub, that's a big leap forward.
Yes.
And she must have been strong-minded, thick-skinned too.
Yes, yeah.
So this is a picture of the Fountain and Star public house.
Is it still there now?
No, we believe it's not. It's been knocked down. But this is a picture taken about 40 years later.
That's interesting.
Yeah. While she was there, of course, she met the employer, Frederick Joseph Highmore.
Okay.
Can you guess what happened next?
She started a relationship with him.
Right. So the relationship, we don't know whether it was casual at the beginning, but we know that he was married.
Oh.
This is a copy of his marriage certificate.
Okay.
But the relationship with Daisy was a tumultuous relationship.
So there was violence?
There was violence involved.
OK.
And then something dramatic happened. It appears that in March 1901, Daisy took out a gun and showed it to Frederick on London Bridge.
Yeah.
And said that this is for both of us. Now, this appears to be where you get your story about Daisy shooting her lover on London Bridge. Now, the shooting, because there was an actual shooting, was at a post office tavern. It appears as if Daisy took out a revolver and shot him.
OK.
Now, when she was arrested, they asked her what happened. So what we see here is a newspaper report. Can you read what it says?
Prisoner said to the police who arrested her, he's brought it all on himself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
She says, I don't care. He has made my life what it is. So at that time, we didn't know what she further intended, but later on it came forward that she intended to commit suicide herself. But she couldn't go through with it. When she shot him, the bullet entered him, but he did not die. But he lost the sight from his right eye.
Yeah.
So the matter went to court. And this is a copy of the transcripts from that court case. If you look at the very top, it says Daisy Ball, a barmaid, was indicted for having shot Frederick Highmore, a licensed Bectulia, that's someone who handles alcohol, with an intent to murder him on the 20th of May. This is a record of the same court case. She was found guilty of shooting and wounding to do grievous bodily harm.
Ah.
And she was sentenced to 3 years penal servitude.
And what is penal servitude?
It would have been hard labour. It wouldn't have been very pleasant. It would have been perhaps bearable.
Yes.
Now, Frederick testified in the court case. He did die later.
From his injuries?
Probably from his injuries.
OK.
This is a record you see at the bottom of the coroner's inquisition for murder.
It says on coroner's inquisition for murder?
Yes.
But she wasn't done for murder?
That's right, she wasn't. But they still inquire into it as if it was.
So they didn't charge her with murder after his death?
No. Daisy's story doesn't end there.
OK, what happened to Daisy?
It doesn't end there. So, first of all, Daisy started going by Mary Ann.
Ah, I can understand that.
You know what this is?
That's her marriage certificate.
Yes.
But she was 58 and still a spinster.
That's correct.
And her husband was 69. He was a widower. They were living together when they got married.
You smiled then.
Good old Daisy.
And they stayed married until they died.
Oh.
And Daisy outlived him.
Yes.
She didn't die until 1949, and she was 84.
Wow. But I'd like to think she found happiness in the end. And love.
Yeah, and there is a happy ending in this end.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Annette, you came to find out more about Daisy. What do you think of her now?
I'm happy because I know what happened to her. She found love and she got married and she lived to a ripe old age.
And the name Daisy lives on in your daughter?
My daughter is Daisy May, and she's a strong woman.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of strong women in our family.
Are there? So it's passed down the generation?
It has done, yes.
Yeah, but don't do that.
No, I'll try not to.
So we've solved the family mystery for Annette, who finally has the full story about her great-aunt Daisy. Coming up, Onyeka will be delving into an 1830s English uprising.
They felt they were fighting for the livelihoods of their families.
I've got goosebumps.
Our next guest is Lucy Polkinghorne. She's brought along her daughter Sophie, and they're hoping to discover a link to one of the most influential minds of the 20th century, Sigmund Freud.
So, Lucy, Sophie, welcome. What have you come here to find out today?
I've come to find out about my great-grandfather, John Froude, if there's a connection with him actually being John Freud, who is the nephew of the famous Sigmund Freud.
So it's a case of two Johns?
That's right. Is he the same John?
So, Lucy, what do you know about Sigmund Freud's John?
I know he was born in Austria, And we know that they came over to live in Manchester in England.
And he disappears, doesn't he?
He does disappear.
So we know John Freud, Sigmund's half-nephew. We know he was in Manchester. We know the family went to Manchester around about 1860, because we see them in the 1861 census. And John even appears in the 1881 census and then disappears. But then in 1891, John Froude, F-R-O-U-D, your ancestor,
yes,
makes an appearance. And we know nothing of him really before this time. So tell me about your John.
I know that from 1891, he's living in London, and he seems to stay in London until his death in 1936.
So why do you think your John is actually Sigmund's John?
When his daughter was born in 1892, he changed the spelling of her name to F-R-U-E-D, another close indication it could be Freud.
It's a bit suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here we have John Freud, very active in the records. 1881, gone. Come the next big census, the 1891 census, John Freud appears. So the documents trying to prove a connection between the two Johns run cold. But this is where DNA comes in. This is where we need to be, those 21st century detectives. And when we look at your DNA results, we find that you have cousins, and those cousins are people born in Austria. So not only do you have this cousin connection, you also have ethnicities that connect you back to Austria. There's tantalising evidence to suggest that these two people might be the same person, but there's no proof. But we're getting closer to solving this mystery. But all it will take is for one Freudian slip in the document, and we'll have what we need. Thank you both for coming.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been interesting. Thank you for your help.
Thanks. Some exciting news for Lucy, who's now spurred on to find that piece of solid evidence linking her family to Sigmund Freud's.
We talk a lot about technology replacing humans, but 200 years ago, there were riots against mechanisation.
Our next guest, Gary Chalk, wants to find out if his ancestor was one of those sent to prison for raging against the machine.
My name's Gary Chalk. I'm from Portsmouth. I've been researching my family tree for around about 5 years now. Came across this article which mentions a John Chalk. On further research into John Chalk, it appears that he had a criminal record, which, on further investigation, appears to relate to the swing riots of 1830. He was an agricultural labourer. I understand that the farm machinery had just been introduced, the threshing machines, and that as an agricultural labourer, John and his compatriots would obviously have been very concerned that they were going to lose their work and being able to support their families. So that triggered the swing riots. The perpetrators were rounded up and arrested, and there was a very large trial which took place in Winchester. John received 1 year's hard labour sentence, and I believe he was imprisoned in Winchester jail. As a consequence of the uprisings, the trades union movement formed out from that. If I were to find out that John Chalk was my ancestor, and he was one of the first people to stand up for workers' rights and was a forerunner to the current trade union movement, I'd be very proud.
Welcome, Gary.
Thank you very much.
Right. We understand that you've got a very interesting family that you want to share with us.
Absolutely. John Chalk, who I believe may be my third great-grandfather, was involved with the swing riots. As I say, I haven't been able to establish that, so I'm hoping you'll be able to enlighten me.
OK. I think it's important that we just sort of outline what happened or what Britain was like in the 19th century at that time. Britain was essentially a rural agricultural society, and these labourers laboured upon the land, and suddenly these machines arrived. They were noisy, they were aggressive, they dominated the landscape, and many of the local people were afraid that these machines would take away their livelihoods. So The swing riots took place in southeast London and East Kent, around the east coast of England, and then developed further during the 1830s. At the time, they were often described almost in the way in which we would think of as terrorists, as people who were standing against society altogether. But they felt they were fighting for the livelihoods of their families and their local community. The actual name swing originates from a captain swing. This is a fictitious person that they created to hide their identities. They sent letters like this to rich landowners, threatening them. The content of these letters involved sometimes a mild threat, sometimes an aggressive threat, telling them to desist from using these machines, or even sometimes to leave the local area. A special commission was created in the 1830s to try those individuals that had been suspected of playing a part in the swing riots. During the proceedings, they saw over 650 people were imprisoned, and over 500 were sentenced of those 650 to transportation. And a further 19 were executed.
It's stunning figures. It's quite eye-opening, actually.
If we look now at another very interesting piece of evidence, this is a criminal record. And on this criminal record, at the top, you see the name there, John Chalk?
Yes, yeah.
Contains a list of some other names too. The other names on this criminal register are James Vandell, Benjamin Brown, and James Camis. They were all sentenced to prison for terms of 18 months of hard labour. Remember those names, they're very important. This is a family tree. Can you see yourself on it?
Yes.
Right. And do you notice some other name on this family tree?
I see John Chalk at the top there, son of George Chalk.
This John Chalk matches the same John Chalk that we've been talking about. There are no other possible John Chalks whose age and location match. Plus, the baptisms of his children in the same area all point to this conclusion. You are a direct descendant of John Chalk, who was involved in the swing riots of the 1830s and was sentenced and convicted for defending the rural poor. How does that make you feel?
I've got goosebumps. It's incredible. It is incredible.
Remember I said to you to remember the name of Vandell. Does this family tree look complete to you? Is there anything missing from it?
John's wife.
Now, the second part of your family tree includes the family Vandell. William Vandell and James Vandell were involved with John in those same riots in 1830.
This is all new to me.
Right. To have one revolutionary in a family is something, but to have 3 or 4...
Well, clearly, the family obviously felt that they needed to stand up for what they thought was right. They must have known what they were getting into. They must have known the consequences. So they wouldn't have done it lightly. It's quite a revelation. That's fantastic, thank you. I'm very pleased. Being able to establish that John Chalk is my ancestor. I don't consider myself to be a rebel now, but if I was in John Chalk's situation 150 plus years ago, I'd probably do the same.
Some great news for Gary, who can now proudly call John Chalk his ancestor. And with lots of other happy visitors today, now armed with answers and top tips.
It's been an exciting day in Somerset, solving mysteries and discovering lost family. But that's it for now. Join us again soon when we'll be helping more people find their place in history. Goodbye.